Welcome, everyone. We apologize for the slight delay. We live in a technology world. I just want to pause for a moment and say, how grateful are you at this moment to be at home, at work, wherever you are, and to be part of this amazing conference without stepping a foot in your car, driving, or actually being somewhere? That is wonderful, but it comes with some glitches like technology. So here we are. Happy Wednesday, everyone. My name is Angie Nastovska, and I am part of iLEAD Schools. My official role is Director of Curriculum and Assessment, and my counterpart today that's currently monitoring the chat and letting everyone in is Matt Zuchowicz, and he's Director of College and Career Readiness, but also monitors and works on our pathways, multiple plural world. To start us off, I would really like for all of you to write a comment in the chat. I just want to gauge the temperature about how familiar are you with, let's just start with the easier one, CTE, Career and Technical Education. Can you write in the chat, yes, I'm familiar, or no, or I've heard about it? So just those three. Yes, I know what it is. No, I haven't heard about it, or in between. I've heard about it, but I haven't really dabbled in that field. And I'll open the chat.
So it sounds like Kinderlyn has heard of it, but has lots to learn. Rolando is not familiar with it.
Okay. All right, this is great. So guess what? I think that Matt and I are your dynamic duo for both ends of the spectrum. How about IB? Has anyone on this workshop heard about IB, the International Baccalaureate program, or the career-related program?
And Vanessa also said she's not familiar, Angie.
Okay, for CT, got it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So we will use two acronyms majorly through our presentation, which is IB, which stands for International Baccalaureate Program. For lack of better words, most of you have probably heard about AP. This is the international level of AP course taking, and you get an entire diploma or a certificate. So what our schools do is they combine the career and technical education pathways, which is, you know how back in the days in some of the schools you can pick and choose a vocational high school. That's really what it is. You choose a pathway, and Matt will talk to you more about it and the background of it. And then the International Baccalaureate Career Program combines a little bit of international mindset, international and global thinking education, and the career pathway that the kids are taking. So we'll start the presentation. Matt is monitoring the chat, and then when it's his turn, I'll monitor the chat. If you have any questions, or if you have any concerns or need us to pause, please interrupt us. No problem at all. We love engaging in a meaningful conversation. So what is the International Baccalaureate Career-Related Program, or the acronym is IBCP? So the International Baccalaureate Career Program is a high school program that you can start it in 9th grade, but really the concentrators are 11 and 12th grade. That is where the international program headquarters wants to see the students completing the majority of their work. So what is similar and what is different from what our normal schools are doing is they, as part of the program, they take two International Baccalaureate diploma program, or kind of like two AP courses, and they can be anything under the umbrella of International Baccalaureate. And because we all live in California, we have tried not to deviate from what already kids have as their graduation requirements. So we have chosen the English section, which for us is language and literature. and we have chosen History of the Americas. So those are the two courses that they're taking in 11th and 12th grade as part of their regular graduation requirements and as part of the IB certification program. Then they have something called core, which we do it in our advisory program, and they have to show in 2 years span, 11th and 12th grade, that they have completed artifacts or projects or work related to 4 components, which is personal and professional skills. So anything in the realm of nurturing, developing, demonstrating, or applying personal and professional skills. Language and cultural development, which is studying any foreign language, studying any cultures, doing a project related. So at our schools, we designed a project called Intern Abroad, and the students finish that project, and that qualifies as a requirement completion. Then we have career connected learning, which is like internship, externship hours, and a project related to that. And the final is something called reflective project, which the kids embark on almost like a thesis statement, exploring journey related to their career. They're exploring an ethical dilemma through the 2 years. So that's pretty much it about the International Baccalaureate side of it and how it's formatted and shaped. So the objectives for today's presentation is we just touched base on it, really going into how we implement the core components of the program, exploring the connection between the career program in IB and the career technical education in California. We're going to show you real life examples because all of you are in school studying to do these amazing things. We want you to see firsthand how it's done at iLEAD schools and give you the possibility and opportunity to explore iLEAD schools and hopefully come and work for us because I'll tell you, it's another level of amazing teaching and learning. And then takeaway implementation ideas. So now I'm going to turn it off to Matt, who is expert in career and technical education. I'll stop sharing for a second so that Matt can share, and I'll just monitor the chat.
Great. Okay, let me share my screen then. And I'm going to have to change some things around because I was monitoring the chat and the participants. So let me make this a little bit bigger. Make that bigger, and then I can do that. Okay. So you should have that. Now you should be seeing that. So you should be seeing a screen that says, nope, that doesn't look like it. Let me try that again. Let's try that. Okay, so you should be seeing a screen that says, what is CTE, right? If I believe it, so that's great. So yes. Yeah, and as Angie mentioned, thank you, Emily, for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. As Angie mentioned, I am the Director of College and Career Readiness for iLEAD, but I also serve as a K-12 Strong Workforce Program Pathway Coordinator. And our roles as pathway coordinators is to create pathways between K-12 school districts and community colleges in career technical education. And I'll get into what career technical education is just now. So as it's defined by California, by the California Department of Education, it's a program of study that looks at multi-year sequence of courses. And this multi-year sequence of courses is critical because it starts with what's known as a concentrator course, where students are learning the foundational skills that they need to go into a particular industry. And we're going to get into the industries and the sectors and the pathways that exist in career technical education in a second. And then builds on that with a capstone course. And Angie's done some great work with our students on the capstone courses, where they're really beginning to learn more about specific skills to get into a particular career. And then the goal of CTE is to really ensure students have the skills and knowledge for both post-secondary education and careers. And really, we want to prepare them to enter the workforce and also be able to contribute to the state's economic growth, right? And the idea of how this is done is because we really work to integrate the academic skills and career skills, and Angie's going to talk about that when she gets into the CP part as well, and then making sure that there's hands-on learning, and then ensuring that there's various pathways to get into industry sectors. Okay. So this is a graphic that shows the different industry sectors that exist within California in career technical education. And you'll notice this is a little bit different, and the next slide kind of talks about this as well, between what people think about, you know, when you think about the old career technical education, where like, oh, that's wood shop, right? Well, it's much broader than that, because you can see there's 15 different sectors. And I'll just point out a couple that are definitely not wood shop, like health science and medical technology, right? There's courses in biotechnology, courses in public and community health, there's public services, business and finance, transportation. We have a wonderful pathway at one of our schools that's an aerospace pathway to help prepare students to enter the aerospace industry. And there's many others, but you can see there's a lot of different sectors in career technical education. So as I mentioned, it's evolving into something that's skill-based, so that students are learning particular competencies that are going to help them go into a particular industry. So it used to be, like I mentioned, that at JUSUP, there was like just a woodshop class, but now it's infused with innovation. It's tied in with entrepreneurship. It's really helping students become competent in a global marketplace. And the bottom line is we want to ensure that students have access to high wage, high demand jobs. And you may be thinking, well, how do we do that? And part of that is that we've been working really hard to put together a high quality CTE program rubric. And I'm sure in your courses, you've been using rubrics to assess your students. We use this rubric to assess our CTE programs. And in fact, I was just working with one of our programs yesterday to really look at, okay, where do we fall within this rubric? And you can see that career technical education is a responsibility of facilitators. In iLEAD, we have our own language for people. We call teachers facilitators. And the directors, which are the principals, or our district, basically, which is ICA, which is who Angie and I work for. But you can see, so that it's multifaceted, that there's some responsibility that falls on the teachers, some that are on the principals, some that are on the district, to ensure that there's the best quality career technical education program. And if this is useful to you, there's a link here to the rubric to attain that. And then going back to, like, how do we know if something is high demand? One of the things that we do as pathway coordinators, and we also do it in our career technical education programs, is we analyze the labor market information. And this is another good TLA. Does anybody know what TLA stands for? Is there anything in the chat, Angie?
No, Matt, what does it stand for?
It stands for 3-letter acronyms.
Thank you.
Yeah, so there's way too many TLAs, but LMI, labor market information, and you can see this particular one is an advanced manufacturing, and this is showing a growth of 7,000 jobs, and we ensure that we tell the students in terms of, well, if you're really interested in this, this is where you can start with your salary, but as your experience builds, you can see how that grows, and we're very intentional about creating this labor market information in this way, so that the students will ask, well, what do I need to do? Like, what skills do I need to have so that I can move on in my career to eventually make more money? And you can see we lay out here what the average wage is for the jobs within this region, which is the North Los Angeles County, and then the education levels that are needed. So we share this with this, and we use this to help us decide which of the programs we're going to be using in the particular areas that we're serving. So in terms of it being relevant, one of the data points that's really key, and this comes right from the CDE Career Technical Education website, is that Students who are in CTE have higher graduation rates than non-CTE students. But they also tend to go more to college and actually graduate from college. And the reason for that is that so many of our youth today are driven to go into college because college is the goal. But if you ask them, what is your goal after college? They're like, I don't know, I'm just going to get a degree. But students who've started looking at careers and are focusing on an industry in high school have a goal and a target so that when they enter post-secondary education, we provide them with an on-ramp so they can continue their studies and access a high demand, high wage job in their careers. And then the other piece, that's another data point, is that students that are taking both academic and CTE courses have a lower dropout rate, and they actually have higher achievement gain than other students. So again, that's like CTE in a really short period of time, but if you have any questions, happy to answer those. And I believe we're moving on to the CTE CP connection, so I'll stop sharing here. Angie, if you want to take over. And I will monitor the chat for you as well. Sorry, you're muted, Angie.
We're moving on. So I will skip the slide for now. It's just there as a resource because I know throughout your schooling, some of you might have heard about the diploma program, because usually when schools do adopt International Baccalaureate program, they usually go for the diploma program. I just want you to know that, as Matt explained, the trend worldwide, globally now, is steering away from just studying for the sake of studying. And that is what the diploma program is, really just cramming subjects in school. And now we are slowly shifting back to where we used to be 30, 40 years ago when our parents were in high school, maybe, to vocational or career-oriented high schools, because students really need to have the experience of, do I really want to be this for the rest of my life before they actually step a foot at college or university. So that is primarily the biggest buy-in for kids and families, and for you as a teacher when you are planning your courses in English, in math, in science, to just open up the view to, if you don't see the immediate application of the lesson that you're preparing, know that that is not a lesson worth teaching, honestly. Because just imagine this: if you're English or science person or history person, when you go to the bank, you don't say, oh, I'm sorry, I missed math classes, or I only took algebra, that is as far as I went. You don't say that when you go to a bank, where when you stop at a cash register, life is strengths and multidisciplinary. So we need to have a little bit of the trades and disciplines in life in order to be successful, so as the students that we're teaching. So the International Baccalaureate career related program fits naturally and perfectly with CTE, which is career technical education that Matt was talking about, because aside from having that career focus and the courses that they're taking through the pathway that they choose, as Matt showed you, all the career clusters, they also focus on the personal and professional skills, the service learning, the language development, and their reflective project by building their own portfolio about it. It is university and college accepted and viewed upon as students develop agility, adaptability, great communication skills, great presentation skills. They know how to stand up for themselves, how to vouch for themselves, and they know how to sell themselves, because they have designed and developed and applied some of career-related skills. The structure of the career program is, as we mentioned earlier, they have 2 diploma courses, which for us were the English course and the US history, or history of the Americas. And then we have the CP core, which we have chosen at our schools to do it through advisory program, because in advisories, advisors see students every single day for 30 to 40 minutes. So we're infusing the core of this program requirement into the advisory. So at iLEAD schools, the reason why, or one of the things that sets us apart from regular high schools, is that the majority of the work that the students are doing in their career choice and the International Baccalaureate is project-based learning driven. We use project-based learning as our methodology, so it's not a project or a thing that they're doing, but that is the way that we plan the experiences in subject and across subjects at our schools. The two schools that have the International Baccalaureate program, the career program, and our career technical education pathways are iLEAD Agua Dulce, that's located at Agua Dulce, which is our farm school slash boutique entrepreneurship oriented school. They have farm to table, they have animal program, they have great technology program, they have arts program. So it's very nice, uniquely set and uniquely ran school, and the animals roam around with the kids. And for the farm to table, they have fully equipped and approved, California approved kitchen. So most of the lunches and snacks are cooked and are set up by the kids and staff that's devoted to that. So also the CTE and the CP programs, the career program and the career technical education programs, they offer readiness for the future. They encourage college and career readiness, social and emotional growth, global awareness, because remember it's international and globally minded program, and also entrepreneurial mindset. So now we're going to go over some of the things that we are doing at our schools to kind of like bring you a perspective of how are we really incorporating and in practice, how do both career technical education and the career program look like at our schools. So some of the examples that we have at STVI, we had a sustainability initiative where students identified most of the current and relevant problems within the schools, across grade levels, within the community, and in the state of California. Once they identified the problems, they went into dwindling it down to what is in our scope of influence, or what kind of awareness can we develop and raise for those problems.
Hey,
Then we have
Angie,
had,
sorry for interrupting you. Do you want to make that full screen so everybody can see it better, or are you?
I apologize.
No,
Yes.
no, you're good. I just want to make sure. Okay.
Thank you. Then some of the students designed health and sciences digital wellness campaign that went viral through our social media. And some of our students ventured into entrepreneurship pitches for Shark Tank type of an event. All the projects, all the patent, all the ideas that the students designed were around the problem and root cause analysis they identified for the sustainability initiative. You have access to all these presentations as part of your registration. So our slides are accessible to you. All these are links that you can explore. But all of these images are parts of our projects that our students do and initiatives at our schools. But also on the back end, as someone that I went back recently to get my special education credential for both mild, moderate, and severe. So I'm fresh off the benches as you guys because I had general education and administrative education experience, and I just wanted to get special education credential as well. So when I was going through my teaching, my constant question that I had in my mind was, this all sounds great, but how? And why would you say work where it doesn't work? So I'll tell you that at iLEAD schools, we experimented a long time before we landed on systems and elements of our schooling and the way that we do school that kind of works and makes it really authentic and relevant for our kids, families, and our teachers. So at iLEAD schools, we have a system that leads the kids at the beginning of the year. They set goals, and each teacher, admin person, and a student goes through a process called individualized learning plans, or ILPs. So each person at our school sets academic, personal, social, emotional, outside of school and inside of school goals. And then they live out by those goals in all the subjects and projects that they do in our social emotional program and wellness, in all that. And they monitor the goals by reflecting on them, embedding them in everything that they do. And then mid-year, we pause, not for teacher-led conferences, but student-led conferences. As you can see on the images over here, teachers act really as facilitators. They facilitate the process where students take in charge, they talk to their parents, they show their project, they discuss the progress on their goals and all of it, but kids are in charge of their own learning. And then throughout the year, every project culminates in something called presentation of learning, or POLs. That is where the students over here, up here, show their products or show the process that they went throughout the project, and they present their learnings or products or processes. In 10th grade, they have something called personal project, which is kind of goes hand in hand with the careers that we've been talking about. It's a longitudinal year-long project where each student chooses their own passion, line of inquiry, something that they've always wanted to try or to do and to see if it works. And it's truly independent work in combination with our English 10 course, where they're supported for their research, annotated bibliographies, designing a plan, checklist, doing their full report at the end. And then they present in front of panel of assessors that they have never seen about their experiences and about their project. At the end of every year, we have something called end of year learning showcases, which is an opportunity for the students to tie up the loop from setting their individualized learning plans, growing, reflecting, and collecting evidence, participating in learner lab conferences where they inform their parents, they discuss, pause, reflect, all the way until the end of the year where they showcase all their beautiful work from their project, courses, experiences of the year. And that is the students' choice on how they do that. Most of our kids have portfolios or senior defenses. Some of our kids use slides, they create videos, they create full websites. So in whatever way they want to present their year-long work, they do it. So as you can see, it's a lot of process work, but we have set up these structures to help students throughout the year through advisories, through our social emotional programs, through our skill building courses and programs, for them to pause and reflect, pause and upload artifacts, pause and curate an artifact so that by the end of the year, they have a full body of work to present. Here's how our ILPs look like. So the kids set their goals and set some actions or milestones that will help them reach their goals. We also have examples of our learner lab conferences, and we have included videos. If later on, like if you're studying to become an elementary school teacher, you can watch that one. If you're studying to become a middle school teacher, you can watch that one. And if you're more geared towards high school, you can watch that one. So we've included samples of how learner lab conferences look like, but they're basically an opportunity for learners to showcase their accomplishments, their projects, talk about their progress towards their ILP goals. And as I spoke earlier, the learners are fully in charge of conducting and leading the conference with their family. So how do we do it? How does project-based learning work, and how does everything come together? We're gonna watch a short, actually we don't have time, but if you want to see, there is a short video about a partner school that we work with. that is called High Tech High. And over here, you can see how the exhibitions of learning, which is our presentations of learning, look like, feel like, and sound like. This is a 7th grade project. This is their presentation of learning when they did small acts of courage. Learner, teachers, family members, and community members celebrate learning at the culmination, which for us is the presentations of learning. So this one was small acts of courage, learning expedition, where the teachers describe how they design celebrations to explore to ensure that all learners experience success throughout their schooling. Learning showcases what it is. Again, it's an opportunity for each learner to reflect on their growth over the course of the year. The focus is on both academic and social emotional, and especially taking into consideration the goals, the IFC goals that they set at the beginning. So what does project-based learning, career technical education learning, and the career program, the International Baccalaureate program, look like, feel like, and sound like? So the presentations include creative expressions of the learner's growth from the year. It can be presented in varieties and multiple ways. But briefly over here, I'll tell you, there is we have one project that's called Dream Up to Space that's specifically tied to the science at the grade level that the kids are learning about. And as we all know, with the next gen science revamp of standards, there's a spiral review almost in every grade level with topics focus. So if the kids are taking biology, they're designing projects that are stemming from the biology that they're studying. But the best part is kids design experiments, and some of those experiments get to be chosen to go on the International Space Station for the actual astronauts to conduct them in the absence of gravity up on the International Space Station. Our Dream Up to Space team just came back from the launch in Florida, and the experiment that this time around they sent into space was, I believe, 5th grade, and they sent pill bugs to see if they're gonna survive. Because if they do survive, and if they have found a way for the bug pills to survive, it can change how medicine works in the absence of gravity, and how much we can do with a there's like a little pipe, it's called mini pipe, a clamp that they're allowed to put their experiments in that flies into the International Space Station. So that's their constraint in terms of science that they work with. So as you can see, a simple course in biology or chemistry or interdisciplinary, because they get to write a long scientific report and do a lot of research. We combine it with English as well, can be so relevant, and the kids work in real labs with real scientists because they conduct the experiment simultaneously on ground as the astronauts do it up in space, so that they can compare the variables of gravity and how that works. So we have a lot of social media, and the other thing that really works for us that makes our students' learning authentic, relevant, rigorous, and applicable is our kids constantly participate in creating and teaming with our social media learning and outreach teams. We have our YouTube channels, we have our Instagram, we have our Facebook pages. So it makes it a lot easier for kids to present their processes learnings, and also send messages out there to the public when we do have devoted team that's just for that, and also mentors our kids too. So the power of the International Baccalaureate 4, which for us is our 11th and 12th grade advisory program, is that it's kids explore and develop skills related to real world dilemmas. They discuss about ethics, ethical research, especially that we live in AI world and AI powered tools, cars, and everything around us. and they compare and contrast the ethics from different career fields, but also in the absence of. So taking variables out, like what if computers didn't exist? What if AI wasn't invented? Or what if in 1 or 2 years it gets so advanced to this point? What would our role and job be? So they start thinking about how will the field that they have chosen morphs and modifies rather than the static world. And then there's tons of community engagement. You're going to see that our students do trips abroad. Um, Last year, they went to Costa Rica and they participated in food production. So they planted, they harvested, and they made recipes. They helped build a school over there. They learned about the culture. They mingled with natives. They learned about food, customs, dances, natures, all of it. Right now, they will go to, as soon as school finishes in Ireland, our Agua Dulce school will go. They will explore some scientific backgrounds. So every trip is very purposeful. It's very project-based learning driven, and it's tons of content packed for the kids to do hands-on, either labs, write-ups, interviews, ethnic studies, and so on. Here's another project from our aerospace pathways. Our aerospace pathway has been built so well that now it expands all the way down to third grade. And some of our kids graduate with commercial pilot lessons. If they pick and choose that to be their field, that is how they can end up. But some of our pathways that we currently have, it's aerospace, theater education, entrepreneurship, audio video production, early childhood education, and so on. So the key to success to anything that we mentioned today is collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. When you're graduating as an English teacher, middle school teacher, elementary school teacher, please know that for the success of your kids, for your own success as educator, you must be collaborating, co-building, co-designing, co-creating. There is nothing else that will help you, the kids, the community, and any program or initiative be successful. So challenges are always scheduling, our staff buy-in. So if something doesn't sit well with you as a teacher, you have to say it. You have to have the right support in order to accept and thrive in a program or initiative that you're given to teach. Funding is another one, and it's a big one. So if problems are identified early, then the solutions are always there. There is always cross-program planning. We have oriented to flexible scheduling. There is pathway grants, especially for what we were discussing today. And the results of a good program implementation is kids get tons of college offers. There's tons of internships, externships, and jobs openings for them. There's increased engagement. Our kids' buy-in is through the roof when they're engaged in something that they love. um, Schools always ask, like, how do you keep touch with your alumni? Well, when they do something that they really felt like they're part of, they want to come back to their family and share the amazing things. So aside from us reaching out to our alumni kids, they always reach out to us and they ask for opportunities to present and be part of that. So some tips, I already mentioned some, but always, always, always gauge the interests of your kids. As soon as you get a class, always do personality interest surveys. Choose high demand careers, not something that's not relevant, but something that kids can potentially see themselves in it and thriving. And always start small. Scaling is something to reflect on later. That was a lot of talk, but I know we are at time. We want to have time for questions, but please, please ask us any questions. And if you by any chance ever want to come work for iLEAD or explore the openings that we have, you can use the QR code here, or you can get the slides at later point. But please feel free to unmute, and we are here for the next 10-ish minutes to just chat with you. I will put the link to the presentation in the chat as well. There we go. Ooh, there is a ruffle. Please fill out the survey in the chat because there is ruffle afterwards. You want to potentially have a chance to win something. No questions? No one has questions? Okay, if you don't have questions, please make sure you fill out the survey. And we'll be here for the next 5 minutes.